built. The aircraft was poorly equipped with only 3 machine guns for protection against enemy fighters. Early versions, powered by 950 horsepower Nakajima radial engines, could only carry 660 pounds of bombs. But the introduction of 1150 horsepower radials increased this to over 1,700 pounds. The Lily had a maximum speed of over 300 miles per hour. A more successful Japanese bomber was the Imperial Navy's Mitsubishi G3M, codenamed Nell. Greatly influenced by the Junkers 86, it was a twin-engine medium bomber powered by powerful Hinsei radios of 1,300 horsepower. These gave the aircraft a top speed of up to 260 miles per hour. Given the huge expanse of the Pacific Ocean, range was more important than speed, and the aircraft was designed with this fact first and foremost in mind. Compared with German aircraft of similar size and configuration, a maximum range of almost 3,900 miles in the final version Mitsubishi G3M was a major achievement. This performance made it a strategic bomber in all but name, although the payload was low. It could only carry 1,750 pounds of bombs, or a single 18-inch torpedo, in comparison to its Allied counterparts. The crew's safety was also sacrificed in order to increase the aircraft's range. The lack of armor and self-sealing fuel tanks made the Nell very vulnerable to enemy fire. Even the addition of 20-millimeter cannons in the dorsal turret and 4 machine guns was not enough to keep enemy fighters at bay. The Mitsubishi G3M made its operational debut in July 1937, taking off from bases on the island of Formosa. They then headed into mainland China for deep penetration missions. Just over 4 years later, it was attacking Allied installations all over the Far East and Pacific region. The Pacific War was mainly a naval one, so oil refineries and dockyards were the primary targets of Japanese aggression in the early stages. The G3M Nell is probably best remembered for its part in the sinking of the British battleship Prince of Wales and the battlecruiser Repulse in December 1941. This wartime reenactment shows how aircraft operating from Indochina found and attacked the 2 main ships after their position had been reported by a Japanese submarine. Mitsubishi G4Ms, codenamed Betty, also took part in the attacks on the Prince of Wales and the Repulse. This aircraft had a single vertical tail instead of the Mitsubishi G3M's double tail. It was developed by the same design team as the naval attack bomber. A total of 2,400 aircraft were built. By sheer numbers, the Nell was the most important of all Japanese bomber types. Range was again a principal requirement, so the wings were packed with over 1,000 gallons of fuel, and everything possible was done to lighten it. The Nell really should have been a 4-engined aircraft because of severe demands for great operating range with a heavy bomb load. With just 2 1,800 horsepower engines, it was extremely underpowered. Flimsy construction combined with the lack of armor or self-sealing fuel tanks made the Mitsubishi G4M Betty extremely prone to catching fire or breaking up in the air when attacked by Allied fighters. Because of this, its unfortunate crews nicknamed it the Honorable One-Shot Lighter. The prototype first flew in 1939, and the aircraft saw its operational debut over China. 120 Mitsubishi G4Ms took part in the assault on Pearl Harbor, and the aircraft also conducted several raids against the northern Australian port of Darwin, which was an important staging post for Allied troops and supplies. Powered by a pair of 1,530 horsepower Kasai 11 or 15 radial engines, the Betty bomber had a range of 2,300 miles while carrying a 1,750-pound bomb load. It also carried a crew of 7 and had a defensive armament of 4 machine guns plus a 20-millimeter cannon in its tail. After the Solomon Islands campaign in 1942, the aircraft was beefed up with 1,800 horsepower radials. Fuel capacity was also increased, and the bomb load raised to 2,200 pounds. In addition, 2 extra machine guns were installed in the nose, and the dorsal machine gun was replaced by a 20-millimeter cannon. The famous Japanese naval commander, Admiral Yamamoto, lost his life while flying in a Mitsubishi G4M Betty. This rare sequence from the gun camera footage of American fighters demonstrates the Betty's inclination to catch fire or break up in the air after being hit by a stream of heavy caliber machine gun fire. The German Junkers 88 was without a doubt the most versatile warplane of the Second World War. It was the best bomber the Luftwaffe possessed, and like the British de Havilland Mosquito, it performed numerous roles. The 88 was powered by 1,200 horsepower radial engines, which gave the aircraft a maximum speed of 280 miles per hour. The bomb load was almost 4,000 pounds and was carried in the bomb bay as well as under the wings. Later in the A series, more powerful 1,350 horsepower engines were introduced. These allowed the aircraft to carry almost twice as many pounds of bombs, with very little effect on the speed of the aircraft. Junkers 88s attacked British shipping throughout the war, but their real test came during the Battle of Britain in April 1940. The Junkers suffered a much lower loss rate than the Heinkels and Dorniers. In 1941, most Junkers 88 bombers were moved east for the invasions of Greece and Yugoslavia and the attack on Russia. The Junkers 88 was designed from the outset to be able to operate as a dive bomber as well as a level bomber, and its wings were equipped with dive brakes for this purpose. The aircraft attacked in a 60-degree dive, dropping their bombs out of the bomb bay from an altitude of about 3,000 feet. The pilot determined the moment of bomb release using an illuminated ring sight. Once the bombs were away, the elevators automatically turned to the full upward position in order to pull the aircraft out of its dive, preventing the danger of target fixation. The Junkers 88 was heavily involved in the war against Russia, which began with Operation Barbarossa in 1941. They had to frequently operate from improvised airfields, where essential supplies of bombs and fuel had to be flown in by Junkers 52 transports. By being able to reload and refuel in this manner, the 88s were better able to support fast-moving ground forces from temporary bases close to the front line.